Is up, my friends? It is Thursday night, and you are very welcome along to tonight's late night agenda. Of course, we're going to have a little chat about tomorrow's game against Aston Villa, the second to last one of the season. We'll be talking about the shirt release, which is coming up on the 19th. We've got a poll question running asking, will you be buying the new Liverpool shirt when it is released? We'll talk about Xabi Alonso, as it looks like he could be closing in on a move towards Chelsea. And of course, you're probably wondering what the stream title is about. I will get to giving you that information soon as well. But as always, my friends, it's your show. We're here to talk about the subjects that you want to discuss. So what subjects? I don't know what subjects are, but we're here to talk about them one way or the other. So yes, do let me know in the comment section where your heads are at and what you'd like to discuss. And of course, I will do my best to get to it. Right, so on the kit thing, the club announced that, well, they had a teasing post saying 19th of the month you can expect the shirt to go on pre-sale. And this is normally the time of the year where I get really excited and my bank account gets really damaged. But this year, for a break from the norm, and because I have to protest about where the club is at in some way, I'm not spending a penny. And it breaks my heart to do it because, as I've mentioned, this is the time of the year I love. I love looking at all the new training gear. I love looking at the new shirt. I love getting really excited about Liverpool and Adidas hookups. But this year, not 1 cent, not 1 penny is leaving the Houlden family bank account to go towards Liverpool because, well, you just need to have a look at the post, underneath the post from the club, to see where fans' heads are at right now. And it ain't pretty, unfortunately. Right, let's go. Saucelot confirming he's staying till next season. Absolutely fraudulent waste of a season if he stays. Yeah, you're right. Connor covered it this morning in the press conference. He certainly believes he's going to be here next season. The club are continuing to brief that he will be here next season, but there's not much more I can add, mate. There's not really a but. That's kind of where we're at with it, unless something changes. And if the club are insistent on sticking with them, well, we're just going to have to write it out and see how it works out, aren't we? As sad as that sounds, that's kind of where we're at right now. So yeah, that's why I wanted to ask the first poll question of the night about the situation with the shirts. I want to know, are you going to be spending? Maybe you're somebody who doesn't buy them anyway. Maybe you're somebody who thinks football jerseys have gotten too expensive and it's not your cup of tea one way or the other. But for me, like I said, this is the exciting time of the year, and it's killing me not to even consider buying the new shirt for myself, for my son, for my wife, for anyone. It's I just have to make some type of protest, I guess. Right, let's talk, and there is a lot to go through this evening. So let's talk about numbers, actually. Some of the horrendous numbers from the season. So an account called Sean on X posted something to say, fun fact for everybody, the maximum points that we can get this season is 65. The last time anybody came fourth with fewer than 66 points was 2004-2005. And he said, Arne Slot's achievement of Champions League football is to be the worst fourth place team in 20 years. Talk about lack of context when we get told he's done his job. I was in discussions today with some pretty influential people, to be honest with you. And I got a couple of interesting nuggets of information around where we're currently at. And on that, it seems like the viewpoint is very much that FSG deemed Champions League qualification as enough to keep things chugging along, because there's not much financial difference between first and fourth place in the Premier League, but there's a huge difference if you don't get Champions League football. And it does seem like what we believe is the case, that once you get Champions League football, they're not going to rock the boat. And is it right? I think no. I dare say you think no as well, but that seems to be the order of the day. Now, I'm going to get straight into it because I have a lot I want to get off my chest tonight. But my information and my understanding from people that I've spoken with today, people in and around the club circles, are that Michael Edwards will be departing. Michael Edwards will go back to work with Dr. Ian Graham with the company they initially founded, which I believe is called Ludonautica or something along those lines, or Laudonautics. I can't even pronounce it, but yes, it's a stats company anyway, I believe, that advises football clubs. So it looks as if he's headed back there. Now, there has been some talk that there's been a fallout. I've not been able to substantiate that there's been a specific fallout. Whether it's with Hughes Edwards, Hughes the club, Edwards the club. That I haven't been able to say, and I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. But it does look as if he will be departing. Now, Richard Hughes, there's a possibility he could extend to stay longer. I know some people believe that he's destined to go to Saudi. We don't know that to be the case just yet, but it does look like Edwards will be departing. So what does that mean in the grand scheme of things? I really don't know. I don't know what that means for FSG's structure. I don't know what that means for the day-to-day operations at Liverpool. But it always felt, once they didn't go into the multi-club model, that it was highly unlikely that Edwards was going to stick around too long anyway, because the thing that he was brought back in to do, he hasn't been tasked with doing because FSG have changed their stance on that. So what does he do? That's something we've been asking for a long time. But look, that's our information. That Michael Edwards will rejoin the company he founded with Dr. Ian Graham when he departs Liverpool. Now, when that is, will it be at the end of his 3-year contract? Quite possibly. But at least as of this moment in time, that's the information that we have. Alex, Craig, can I ask, what score are you hoping versus Villa? Look, there's two ways to look at this, Alex. There's the score I hope for the good of the football club, which is Liverpool to win and confirm Champions League football. Or there's the shithouse side, which means if you draw and the game goes on a little bit and it goes to the last game of the season, it gets a bit more tricky. So I think a 2-2 draw. That was my prediction. But it could depend on a couple of factors. I don't know how strong Villa are going to go. You know, their focus is almost certainly going to be on the Europa League final. But we have to look at it another way as well, Alex. Villa Park's going to be rocking. This is going to be their last home game, I believe, of the season. So they're going to want to send Aston Villa off to the Europa League final with a big push. So, yeah, I think it's a game we could win. And it's certainly a game I don't expect us to lose. But 2-2 is kind of where my head's at the minute. But it's tough to know without knowing what team Unai Emery's going to put out. On that, it looks like Mohamed Salah will be fit to play at least a few minutes this weekend if needed, which is some good news for everybody, for us Liverpool fans, and I'm sure for the manager as well. I think everybody should buy the new shirts to only put Slot out or Iriola. I'd be gutted if Alonso goes to Chelsea. I'm not spending the money in full stop because 3.6, nearly 3.7 million Liverpool fans have made their voices heard, but it's not being spread around. It's not being widely articulated because it's against the narrative the club want out there. Look at the post. You don't even have to take my word for it or think that I'm on here trying to bang the drum. Just look under Liverpool's official post today about the releasing of the new kit on the 19th. Let the comments do the talking for you. It's pretty clear that fans don't want nothing to do with the iteration of Liverpool that involves Arne Slot, and they can pretend that we're going to get on board. They can pretend they can win us back around. It isn't going to happen. They're going to end up firing him. It will crash and burn. And again, we're going to all be proved right. But what damage will be done at that point? That's the fear factor in this. I don't understand how they're back in Slot, but they've not offered him a contract. Surely there's more to this. It's exactly that, Stevie boy. Exactly as you've said. And look, I've been saying this ad nauseum over the last few months. You can tell the world you're backing him all you want. But until you give him a new contract, until you get him to sign on the dotted line with terms to show that you do believe in him, I think it's almost fair to suggest that we can be skeptical about that. Because, again, there isn't anything to show that they're going in the right direction. So them insisting on backing him, at this point, all I can say to you is it just feels like they don't want to be wrong. More than anything else, it just feels like their bruised little egos just don't want to be wrong and they won't admit their mistakes. Now, we're talking about, I read a piece in the Echo today, and that piece said that Liverpool could lose up to 10 players this summer. Now, of course, some of those players would be on the fringes and whatnot. But again, going back to just the churn of players alone, taking out the fact that Slot shit the bed this year, just the churn of players alone means it's going to be a mixed bag next season. Now, he keeps telling us that he has, plans in place and they know what's wrong. Well, if they know what's wrong, they should be able to play better football now with what they have. Because, again, it comes down to a lot of things. And the people I spoke to today, some of them were from a sports science background, and they were talking about the training methods. And basically, again, it's a laughing stock. And Slot has taken a fit team and turned them into a relatively, I don't want to say unfit, because these are professional athletes at the end of the day, but not fit for purpose is probably what I would say. So to kind of simplify this for you, Jurgen Klopp's training methods were that you overtrained and that the match was basically felt easier for you because of all the hard work and all the graft you'd put in training, that when it came to game time, it came easier. But of course, that could suffer burnout as the season goes on, which is why you've got to rotate and hope you get a bit of luck with injuries. Then you go to the methods that Arne Slot and Ruben Peters work with, which is very much don't get people past 60, 65% of their threshold in training and peak for the game. But that's not working, is it? And the people that I spoke to today about it, that, like I've said many times, are far more qualified than me to discuss these things, said that it may have worked elsewhere, but they're adamant, and I mean adamant, that it won't work in the Premier League and it won't work at Liverpool. So I don't know what else to say. No way the club doesn't know about the poll, and very funny comments wanting Slot out. He must go for the sake of the club. I really, sorry. I really don't understand why they're so willing to dig so deep in support of somebody that at least the majority of Liverpool fans don't want and won't be won back around. Honestly, I've tried to figure that out for months now. Like, what is the angle here? Why are they so insistent on it? Because these are numbers people. At least that's what we're led to believe. But the numbers aren't doing the argument for them, because if the numbers were, they'd point it out. The journalists that are writing that the club are keeping them would be pointing out the reasons why. But what they've said over and over again is some vague phrases that mean absolutely fucking nothing. Phrases like, it's been a season filled with exceptional circumstances. No, it hasn't. There was one exceptional circumstance, which of course was extremely difficult for the club and for fans. But these injuries, they're making out like we've had an unprecedented number of injuries compared to any other season or other Premier League teams. That's not true. And it's been proved untrue by some of Simon Brundish's good work and others who pointed out today's missed to injury, the number of injuries, the frequency of injuries compared to seasons gone by. These are just excuses, and they're not even valid excuses. They're excuses for people who just don't want to admit that they're not as clever as they thought they were, or they're not as infallible as their egos believe they are. And that's where I've come to with this. I'm in no doubt now that this is an ego-driven empire. The Hughes and Edwards just don't want to admit that they shit the bed with their appointment. That their little algorithm, as Melissa Reddy said in her piece, may have shown that Arne Slot was right for where we were at that moment, but he is definitely not right for where we are now or where we're going. And there isn't anybody who believes he's going to turn it around, or he's going to be able to knit another 5 or 6 first-team players into a team that he hasn't been able to gel together this season. So if they want us to believe, if they want us to buy into it, well then show us, tell us, give us some examples, other than your vague phraseologies that mean nothing. We haven't been unlucky, we've been shit. There's a big difference. This is not a poor squad, it's poorly coached. Thoughts on the timing of the Netflix film? Well, I'm going to be watching it. I'll definitely say that one to you. The Istanbul, I'll definitely be watching it. It's on my reminder list, and look, I'm looking forward to it. It's always good to relive Istanbul and get as much insight from people like Rafa, from Xabi, from Stevie, who of course, and Cara, who gave us that unbelievable night. So yeah, I'll definitely be watching it. But look, there's been a couple of things this season that I think, whether intentional or accidental, have kind of worked against Liverpool. So the Jurgen Klopp coming back for the Legends game, which was a beautiful gesture by Jurgen, of course, to carry on the great work he does with the LFC Foundation. But it also reminded everybody what an actual charismatic person and leader is, and how we are so far away from that. So that's one thing that stood out to me then. And with the documentary, well, you're going to ask Liverpool fans again to remember one of the most incredible nights of fight and spirit that you're ever going to see on a football pitch, at a time where we've shown very little of that. So again, it's going to be a stark contrast to actual underdogs who really probably didn't deserve to be on the pitch with that Milan team, but sheer force of will, some good coaching and belief got them over the line. But you have to believe in what you're doing. And they clearly believed in Rafa's words, Rafa's methods. Whereas currently, don't believe so much. And on transfers, there's been kind of mixed bag today on transfers. So somehow we're going to make a load of transfers, but we're not going to spend as much money as last year. That's kind of the line that's been doing the rounds today in some way, shape or form across a lot of places. So looking at the list that we went through yesterday, it seems like Alisson is edging to the exit door based off reporting. Nothing we have that's inside information or anything like that, because we don't. But the reporting we're seeing definitely makes it look like Alisson's creeping towards the exit door. Salah to Fenerbahce, there's more reports on that today, suggesting that he's given the green light for those talks to move on to the next level. Let's wait and see what happens there. But I just struggle, folks, to figure out what to expect really this summer. I have a theory, and when I spoke to people today, I kind of pitched the theory to them, and I've said it to you guys as well. It's kind of, I feel like, are they just rebuilding and Slot's going to be the fall guy for the next manager? Because I can't help but feel that's the only way this makes sense. Because I don't think they really think he's going to turn it round. I really don't think that. Because if they did and they knew they'd someone special on their hands, like Stevie Boy said a minute ago, that contract would have been on the table. So for me now, I'm thinking they think there's a huge rebuild happening. Basically a whole new team over the course of two summer windows. And that when Slot fails and this team's bedded in a bit, maybe they go elsewhere. But what worries me is, of course, the Alonso situation. I don't think they understand how angry Liverpool fans are going to be if he becomes the Chelsea manager. I wonder who's advising FSG or who they're listening to, because for whatever reason, they seem to be at this moment in time sitting back and watching as Alonso gets all the guarantees from Chelsea that he would not get at Liverpool. And as Liverpool fans watch a coach that was basically sitting there begging to come to us go to Chelsea because, well, I don't know why. Because Hughes and Edwards have insecurity issues. Because John W. Henry and FSG aren't paying enough attention. I really struggle to believe they don't know the fan sentiment at this point. You know, as that gentleman said a minute ago, they must know about the poll. I know that the likes of the Echo and all won't mention it because it doesn't suit their narrative, which is, "Hi, can you hear me? I'm inside John's pocket. Hello? Hello?" Just doesn't suit it. But like I've said many times, we'll say it. We'll talk about it. We'll raise it. We'll share it. We'll make sure people's opinions are at least given somewhat of a platform. I've never in my life wanted something so badly as this man leaving our club. Yep. I'm with you. And where do you go with it, like? You know? It just feels so unnecessary. You know, I'm well aware that sometimes I have opinions that I know are a little bit close to the bone, or I know that maybe not everybody would agree with. But I dare say on the Slot out thing, I don't think you could have had any issue to bring Liverpool fans together as much as wanting him to leave. And that, again, takes some doing for a man that won the league last year. But this isn't purely just the results thing. It goes deeper than that, and I really hope that are paying attention to that. Because this for fans is, yes, somewhat about the brand of football. Not so much about the results, but the brand of football. But the man himself, he's just not the right guy for the job. He just doesn't appeal to Liverpool fans. He doesn't connect with Liverpool fans. He doesn't sound like a Liverpool coach. He's too passive. He's too defeatist in his thought processes and the way he sets teams up against the likes of PSG. Like, how are you supposed to have those type of Barcelona nights or Istanbul nights when he's going over there with his tail between his legs? He speaks about us at times like we're some secondary outfit that should bow down to the likes of PSG. It's also worrying, actually, is probably the word I'd use. For Alonso Kane, do you think Salah will change his mind and stay? No. I think at this point, that decision's been made. No, I can't tell you whether deep down, maybe he'd have some reservations about the decision. But I think at the point it's made, he's made that announcement, he's told his family. I would imagine it'd probably go in the same direction. But there was a piece today, and I think it was Danny Murphy, who said that basically Elliot, if Slot stays, is going to have to go find another club. Whereas he wants Elliot to stay at Liverpool, and with another manager coming in, and he didn't mention Alonso, but it would be interesting to see, because they made a mess of that as well. Like I've said many times, the clever people, the numbers people, fucked FSG out of at least 20 million quid because the way they dealt with the Elliott situation. And Unai Emery was basically apologising today for that situation to, Harvey Elliott himself, and of course to everybody involved. It's been a mess, and they overseen that mess. But again, where's the accountability? They don't seem to want to have any. They just think hiding away and briefing journalists is good enough. Craig, why is the Liverpool PR machine pushing so hard to keep Slot? Something doesn't smell right. I think Slot goes in June. Derek, my man, I don't have a clue why they're working so hard. I really don't. Like, if this was a situation where, let's say, I was being uppity because I didn't think we defended the title well enough, and I was kind of on my own with it, I'd understand. But everybody I speak to, every email we get, every conversation we have, every other Liverpool fans I talk to from a content perspective, they all want the same thing. There is nobody that thinks the very best you'll get, Derek, is he won the league, he deserves a chance to go again. That's the best you're going to get. That's the most hardened of support that he gets. Even at that, they're almost admitting that, yeah, he failed this year, but give him another go. I don't know, because I think it's really risky. Because if you've got doubts about a manager and you go out into the transfer market, like who are we making these signings for? Are we making them for Slot's team? Are we making them for the next 5-6 years? Because I don't want to build a team that Slot wants, knowing that he doesn't have a fucking clue what to do with them. Again, we've seen obscene amounts of money spent last summer, and this man wants sympathy. And the amount of people who are somehow in one breath trying to talk about the Liverpool way and standards and maintaining those are again just making excuses out the other side of their mouth about the situation and lying about how bad it is this year, lying about the injury stuff. You can't have the conversation. Like, if I was doing that, people would say it's embarrassing. You can't have the conversation about injuries without talking about how they came about and have we done anything different. Like, the case in point and the biggest example of this is Frimpong. Look at his injury record before he arrived at Liverpool. It's nothing like you've seen this year. Now, what's the common denominator there? The only thing is the change of training, the change of the way we play. And we've seen that over and over again. And again, these are the things that he was supposed to be good at. He's supposed to overachieve. He's supposed to work with a smaller budget against bigger clubs. All the things that he was brought in to do, be similar to Klopp, play with a 4-3-3, they're all just fading away into insignificance because none of them are coming through. None of them. And they're just tying themselves in knots trying to figure out how we can keep this guy in a job. Itachi said, I'm almost crying because of anger. Shame we let Alonso go to Chelsea. Real shame. Hear that FSG is just a clown show. Look, I'm with you. There's been many times over the past month that I've nearly driven myself to tears about it. And these streams are so hard to do because I know what we're going to discuss. I know how everybody feels. I know how I feel. And it's tiring and it's exhausting for all of us. Mentally, we're just broken. If the club didn't mean so much to me, and I dare say to you guys as well, I'd have given up by now. Because it really has sapped all the goodwill out of the season. And it's going to take one hell of an effort to get it back. And even if it goes well next season for him, and well, by the way, would mean winning a trophy, I still don't think Liverpool fans will ever fully be convinced by the man. They might be waiting for Nagelsmann and not Alonso. Absolutely possible. And like I've tried to be balanced about this for many times and say, I'm not trying to convince the world Alonso's the guy. All I'm trying to convince the world is that Slot isn't the guy. After that, I promise you, I'm as open-minded to the next coach as anybody. I'm certainly not sitting here thinking it's only Alonso. No. But I am admitting that it hurts that when you've got a guy who wants to come and coach us, a guy who will have an immediate connection with the fans, a guy who can lift the morale up straight away, and our club aren't doing that. That's the part that really frustrates. You know, I'm definitely open-minded to whether it was Nagelsmann, whether it was Sebastian Hoeneß, whether it was Xabi Alonso, somebody else. I'm not fully in the it has to be Xabi camp, not at all. But I am in the it cannot be Arna camp. Jack Lynch, how are you, Jack, my friend? Said, imagine we hadn't got those 6 lucky wins at the start of the season. I'm very worried we could be finishing in the bottom half of the table next season with Slot. I mean, I've often thought about those early victories as well, mate. You know, there's been some people showing what the league has looked like for us since those 6 wins and, you know, comparing where we would be if we hadn't had them. And it doesn't make for pretty viewing. But even this, like I said earlier on when I started the stream, this post caught a ride today on X from Sean. And people on X will know who Sean is. The account is at Sean DOLFC. And it's a fact about the Champions League qualification this season and quite how little we've had to do to get it. So we said, fun fact for you, the maximum that Liverpool can get is 65 points. And the last time anybody came fourth with fewer than 66 points was 2004-2005. Arne Slot's achievement of Champions League football is to be the worst 4th place team in 20 years. And then he said, talk about a lack of context, then we get told he's done his job. That's crazy. That is crazy. Like, literally, even dressing that up, like, get Champions League football, but you're stumbling over the line to get it, and it's still the lowest points tally you're going to need for the last 20 years. And still, nope, no budging, because he did get that Champions League football, or will get it. And make no mistake, that's the metric for FSG. If he doesn't get Champions League football, he'd be gone because they'd lose out on too much money. If he does get Champions League football, the difference between finishing 4th and 1st in the Premier League table is negligible. Now, what does that tell us? It tells us what I've always, at least in my opinion, believed, which they don't give a fuck about trophies. They don't want to be successful. How do you with a straight face tell the world you don't accept mediocrity and then serve it up to us? And then serve it up to us for seconds? It's just insanity. And look, I apologise that the last few months haven't been what you would have hoped with regards to the atmosphere in here, the atmosphere on the streams. But I can't fake it, I won't fake it, and I refuse to lie. I'm fucking fuming right now as a Liverpool fan. I'm absolutely fuming that people are hiding away, haven't got the balls to sit in front of a camera, brief their friendly little journos that they have dangling by a string because they need them. They need them for a livelihood. And they're using these people to gaslight their own fans. Their own fucking fans. Think about that. They're working out of their way to wind us up and brief. There's no need to be briefing every 5 minutes that he's staying, unless you're really fucking insecure about it. So why are they doing that? I'm not trying to say the fans should be the be-all and end-all. But this isn't a blip. This isn't a few people. This isn't a couple of months. This has gone on for 14 to 16 months. And he hasn't figured it out. With more money than any other Liverpool manager has ever been given to fix the team, to defend the league title. And this absolute fucking lowlife tells us that everybody knew this was a transitioning season. And that was always the case when we were having the conversations last summer. Who is he trying to kid? The talk was to defend the league title, and he's failed miserably. Do you have an ETA in the signed ugly shirt? I've said this so many times to people when they win them, and we get these all the time from people when they do win something. There's a process that the guys have to go through, which is the shirts get framed up to order. So when that gets framed, they'll send it on and give you the tracker number. I don't send them. They come directly from the collector's corner. But if I will reach out and see where we're at with it, if that's okay. But I don't have control over the time frame. Even when I buy myself stuff, sometimes it takes a month to get it because they frame stuff to order, which is the way a lot of memorabilia companies do it because it saves on costs. Some people want stuff framed, some people not. But I promise you, I'll chase it up for you and I will hopefully have an answer for you. If you want to just email Connor about it, I'll make sure we get back to you on it, my man. But have no fear, that shirt will make its way to you. I promise you, you've got my word on that one. And also, hope the family are well. Alonso will be here, lads. Stay strong. It's I don't know, like the Chelsea stuff, it's starting to grow more. In The Guardian, they said Chelsea players believe Xabi Alonso is the ideal candidate to become their next head coach. Talks with Alonso's camp are moving in the right direction, and the feeling in the dressing room is the former Real Madrid and Bayer Leverkusen manager is the man to get them back on track. Meanwhile, at Liverpool, our dressing room are looking around going, oh, half the lads are leaving. Why are they leaving? They're leaving because of the manager. Oh, shit, I'm stuck here with him. Yeah. You know the guy who you went invincible with in Germany? You know, he could come in, but we said no. Because we don't like happiness. We don't like things going in the right direction. We don't want to win. We just want a puppet who doesn't talk back, who doesn't have strong opinions, and who chases players out the door. That's apparently the new gold standard at Liverpool. Like, there's not one part of me that doesn't think that the likes of Florian Wirtz, Jeremy Frimpong, and other people in that Liverpool dressing room aren't praying that Alonso gets the job. I'd love to know. I really would. And like Chris Williams said, watch when slot goes or players leave. It will come out. The truth will come out. There are problems at this football club, and they're problems of our own fucking making. Itachi said, Craig, it said, why do we deserve this man? Not looking forward to next season. Just exhausted after that season. Remember last August, man, different worlds. Yeah, last August was, without a doubt, my favourite month on here. Full stop. We had so much fun, so much optimism, so much positive energy and excitement. And that's, over the course of the season, not only faded away, it felt like it's been stamped on by the club, working against their own fan base. Like, that takes a special kind of fuckery to do that. To actively work against your own fan base and not acknowledge them. Not acknowledge the pain, not acknowledge the frustration, not acknowledge any of it, but cowardly sit there and brief journalists that you want to push your narrative. That's shocking. And these people are paid a lot of money to be cowards, to hide away. And make no mistake, I choose these words carefully because this is cowardly. This is cowardly. If you believe in him, front up to the camera. Tell us why. Tell us that. Maybe Richard Hughes has to do it. Maybe Michael Edwards won't. But Richard Hughes should absolutely be explaining this. Explaining why they think it's been such an exceptional season. Why they think circumstances genuinely dictate giving him another go. Because, like I've said, it's trust me, bro. That's all they have. They're supposed to be data-led people. Let's call this for what it is. They're just money-led people. That's it. FSG are only about money. That's it. They don't give a fuck about winning. Because if they cared about winning, they would have acted halfway through this season. If they cared about winning, Slot would have been gone by December. If they cared about winning, they wouldn't be briefing their own fans constantly that they support a manager that's failing miserably. And then I have to look at John W. Henry give an interview saying he doesn't accept mediocrity at FSG. Are you serious? And all of it, like I said, is cowardly. Hiding away. They don't even have the balls to address the fan base. Their little circle jerk round table was an embarrassment. It was an embarrassment to anybody with half a brain. It was basically, they might as well have just stood with their hands on each other's back, patting each other on the back. Well done, boys. Great process. Well done. Triller X said, everybody in another world, it would be exciting for the jersey. Yes, it would. And on that, let's check the poll. So 1,500 votes And 81% of Liverpool fans that voted said they're not going to buy the new shirt. Now, that could be for varying reasons. Some might just not buy it anyway. Some might be protesting against it. For me, it's absolutely the protest. They're not getting a single fucking penny out of me this year. Not a cent. No all red memberships, no club memberships, no hospitality tickets, no jerseys, no Adidas gear, nothing. Didn't think we'd get to the end of the season and see Liverpool players manager nominated for the Premier League end of season awards. Didn't think we'd get to the end of the season and see no Liverpool players / manager nominated for the Premier League end of season awards. I mean, I'm not surprised. Outside of maybe Dominic Szoboszlai, there isn't a whole lot we could really be angry about for them not being nominated. I mean, even the month recently where Slot did get nominated, 33% of the managers were nominated for that. So all he had to do was have a few wins and he scraped in there. But look, like I've said, Liverpool fans can't be fooled. You don't need to take my word. You can take for granted if people want to think I'm toxic, I'm whatever. Doesn't matter. Look under the posts. Look under all their posts. Look on every video that they put out. Look on every press conference. Look underneath, pay attention to the comments, and you'll see the same thing over and over and over again. Now, if this was Italy, France, and you were dealing with the ultras of their fan bases, this would be a very fucking different situation. Liverpool fans aren't going to march on the AXA, and rightly so, because that's wrong. But again, they're pushing. They're pushing and they're pushing and they're pushing. And I'm telling you, this is going to get messy. Watch if Alonso goes to Chelsea. Watch the response. Watch how Liverpool fans feel. Whether they wanted Alonso or not, it's an easy win. And again, why are they keeping him? Why are they keeping Slot? Phil said, Craig, I like how honest you are, mate. Do you know what? I'm going to say something to you that I've never said. I don't big up myself on here at all because I don't think much of myself. I'm very insecure. But I spoke with people today, people whose opinion I would really appreciate within our ecosystem, within the content world. And every single one of them said they watch our channel, they're proud that somebody speaks up, and that anybody that knows me knows I'm anything but toxic or a hateful person. And they told me to keep doing what I'm doing. And that meant a lot coming from my peers. Because the only people that don't want that to do with us, well, are, let's say, the outlets that are in the club's pocket and can't speak out against them. But I'm really proud of what we've built here. And I'm never going to allow anybody to belittle us. Because we speak what you guys want us to speak, which is what we believe to be the truth. And it's not easy. And it's tiring. And it's easy to take cheap shots at. But we're all here because we care, right? All of us. Every single one of you that's in the chat there are here because you care. Are here because you're hurting. And the football club, the escape that you're supposed to have, it's not only just fading away in front of you. Like, this isn't a case of our club not having money or, you know, having poor players on the pitch. And we're looking around going, well, the players aren't great and the finances aren't great. All those things are in place. The finances are very good. For all the things I'm on about with FSG, they've absolutely run the club on a stable footing. But there's no hope. There's no excitement. There's no anticipation. And I really hope that they get a bit of a wake-up call when they see people voting with their wallets and their feet, because you can ignore people all you want. But when Adidas are sending emails asking why the shirt sales aren't what they should be, or when your hospitality staff are returning a load of tickets that they can't sell, maybe then they'll start to realise the damage they're doing to their own club and their own fan base. The ones that they want to fill the tills. The ones that they want. You know, you don't open up outlets all around the world, Liverpool stores everywhere, and then ignore everybody. And then say, well, online fans are toxic. They're negative. It's the stadium goers. And then they turn. And then what are you saying? It's crazy. I hate it. I'm so angry at it. I can't, like, all day, every day, I'm going around fucking angry at the minute because I can't figure it out. I always believed that they were numbers people. Rightly or wrongly, they have their own methodologies, but I always deep down believed that the numbers would tell the story. And that if they are to have an assessment of this season, the numbers would tell the tale. And the numbers would eventually make them see sense. But it seems like now the numbers don't matter either. The results don't matter. If he scrapes Champions League football, playing shit football, and not even being competitive in any competition, apparently that's enough for John. A little bit of light-hearted entertainment for a second. A private jet, according to Nicholas Bieber, will fly from Liverpool to Boston tomorrow. It'll land at the very same private airport John W. Henry landed at yesterday in his trip to New York. And then they say RFSG Liverpool officials gathering for a meeting. I doubt it, considering we're playing Villa, so maybe some of them, but I don't know. Just want to, again, brush up on something we mentioned to you guys a couple of weeks ago about not only Juventus' interest in Alisson Becker, but this report here said that player swap is something that Juventus are going to try to offer, which is Di Gregorio, their goalkeeper. But there's a bit of contradictory stuff doing the rounds in the last few days. A few reports suggest that Liverpool are going to look for a number 2 and not another number 1. But this report here said, according to reports in Italy, Juventus have held talks over a move for Alisson. And then they go on to say, the situation has since evolved with suggestions that Di Gregorio could head in the opposite direction. The 28-year-old is understood to want to be guaranteed number 1 next season at his current club or elsewhere. Well, he's not going to get that at Liverpool, is he? So if Alisson does leave, whoever comes in, at least according to what we're seeing, will be the number 2. But I would love just one press conference where Richard Hughes sat there and there was actual questions asked to him that people want answered, like the slot questions. Why are so many senior players leaving? Why did Salah really leave a year early? What's that about? Like, deep down, let's be honest. Let's fucking call a spade here. Everybody knows Michael Edwards probably doing cartwheels when he heard that Salah was leaving and another over 30 player with a huge wage was going off the books. I'd say he couldn't get to that situation quick enough. Because we all know, if it wasn't for that incredible season that he had, they probably wouldn't have given him the deal. But sentiment was so much that they had to. And then look, the very first chance, they wiggle out of it. And wiggle out of it without selling him, just cancelling his contract. It's crazy. It's so crazy. And they're doing all this to back a manager that's going to fail. And is failing. Ryan, how are you, Ryan? Said, what's your views on Maka? His form is particularly worrying. I know most of the team's the same, but it seems different with him. Could he be leaving? Could he be leaving? Absolutely, yes. The form thing, it's a really interesting one, Ryan, isn't it? Bear with me, dude, sorry. It's a really interesting one, my man, because, people have compared it to the Fabinho season where it looked like almost in one summer, Fabinho grew old. And I don't know, I couldn't tell you why Alexis McAllister's game hasn't been at the levels we know he's capable of. Because he's been a brilliant footballer and I've really enjoyed having him at Liverpool. And I'd love nothing more than to see that this was just a blip season. But I do think there's a strong likelihood that Liverpool will look to cash in to fund somebody like a Wharton. But I really don't know. Like, I don't know if this is just a poor season for Alexis or if there's something more to it. I know he became a father. Again, we'd have to clutch at straws because we really don't know. But yeah, I think he might go. I think if we get the right offer, he does go. That's where my head would be at. And even if you look at the comments from his dad speaking with, I believe, Winwill All Sports a while back, said that the club haven't yet come to them for a contract extension and they're not going to talk publicly with other clubs out of respect for the fans. Now, the word publicly in that I found interesting, but it could have been a language barrier thing. Yeah, Maka is a weird one because, look, you're right in what you've said, Ryan. There's not many people this season have really, really shone in the Liverpool shirt. But I don't know. I don't know how everybody else feels about Maka, but for me, I do think if the right offer comes in, it would be worth exploring, because if you look at the numbers we have in midfield, I don't think we're necessarily short of bodies, more short of specialists in certain positions. And if we're going to bring in a defensively minded player, I think maybe we may need a refresh energy level wise as well in the midfield. So yeah, let's wait and see. I'm genuinely relaxed about it either way on Maka, because this is where I will bow down to the data and the numbers. They'll have far more information available to them that you and I have sitting here. Elk said, my old co-worker Cody could use some prayers. Fell off a ladder last weekend and cracked the skull. Just started eating again. Still can't use his left side. Will have to relearn how to walk. I'm so sorry to hear that. And please do send Cody our love. Yeah, man, I hope he's okay. I hope he gets back to as close to normality as possible, but certainly sending love. I wouldn't say I'd say a prayer because I'm not a religious person. Others, I'm sure, can help in that regard. But from all of us, man, I'm so sorry to hear that for Cody. And yeah, it's I've heard similar things from others in this local area as well. We had somebody die in a site a while ago. It's tough, and I hope he gets back to full health. I really, really do. They put these type of things, put football and that into perspective. That's real life, real world stuff. So do send all of our best wishes in regards to Cody. Pops said, sorry to hear that, mate. Oh, honestly, dude, it's been so hard, because I feel incredible guilt at the minute, because I can't do anything to stop this. Like, the amount of times this week I've said I'm not going to stream because I'm just going to be a bad influence. I'm not going to stream because I'm just going to make people angrier. It's weighing really heavy on me, because I hate it. I hate being something that adds to your anger, or something that doesn't relieve the stresses that you're feeling in the way that I would hope to do, or at least distract you from all of our day-to-day stuff. I promise you, I'm really struggling to stay upbeat, because there's no end to this. There's no sign of an end to it. And if I felt it could be addressed in the transfer window, I feel a bit more optimistic about it. But I think whatever they do in the transfer window is not going to change anything. It feels like we've had a season of frustration and we're headed into at least the start of another season of it. And eventually we'll have the conversation where he's gone, we were right, and now what do we do to save the season? And another season will go by. And the only thing I'm hoping for is that if he is gone by November, maybe we can peak for a late Champions League run. Maybe we can do something in that regard. But I just keep asking myself, how do we get here? How do we get from a feeling of almost invincibility and almost cockiness, certainly from my side, a bit of cockiness about what was to come? Yeah. So all I can say is, again, I'm sorry. What else we got? Let's talk Curtis Jones. So Curtis Jones was speaking a little bit about playing right back, and said, I just enjoy playing. If I'm a right back, I'm a centre back, or I'm a striker, I just want to go and play. I'm fortunate enough to have a quality that I'm comfortable on the ball and I'm confident in my own abilities. I'm not shy where I have to go and play. I want to be in the centre of midfield. I know that I'm good enough and I should be playing there, but it's all about the team, and that's what you have to put first. Although I'm a fullback now at the minute, I'm playing inside as well, so I'm still getting a chance to get into the box and a chance to score and assist and things like that. I wouldn't say that I'm a defender. I'm a fullback / centre midfielder. You can say, I just enjoy playing. I'm a lad at any time. I can get a chance to have the ball at my feet. My eyes just light up. I just end up with a smile on my face. That's what I want to go and do. That's what he said. That's what I want to go and do, especially in a team like this and a club like this. As I've said already, if I have to go and play off the wing or as a striker or as a centre half, wherever it is, I'm fine. Now look, in one way that's lovely to hear from Curtis. You always want to hear those type of words from a player, that they're willing to play wherever's needed. But it is also worrying that we've got a situation where, again, we don't have a right back. And I for the life of me, I can't figure out how we got here. That we don't have right backs. Like, it seems the height of stupidity again. And the way you spoke about playing right back there, it sounded like Slot's basically trying to make him Trent. But he isn't Trent. Because he doesn't have the range of passing that Trent has. Now, he's very good on the ball. And I've always said that. He doesn't hide away in games, Curtis Jones. I'll always give him that credit. He's not cowardly on a football pitch by any stretch. He always wants the ball. But him as an inverted right back, I think we can see it isn't the same. And, you know, again, too many times this season we've had to put square pegs in round holes. For what? For, again, a lack of really acknowledging the mistakes. And this is what I keep coming back to with FSG. Like, I have my own thoughts about Manchester City and the way that club is run. But that's a club that's owners want to win. Because our owner sat back in January and watched and did nothing. Didn't try to correct course for the season. Didn't try to push us on to win a trophy. Didn't back the manager to go out there and bring in one or two more bits of firepower to try and lead us there. And for all the things that they told us that they were aware of, all the shortcomings, why do we have to wait that long to sort them out? Why didn't you address it in January? And why do they always do this? I'm fed up of seasons just washing away with FSG. It's not good enough. It isn't good enough. And I'm going to keep saying that with them. They don't want to win trophies like you and I do. They want Champions League football and the money that comes with it. And it's might be okay for some people, but it's not for me, because it's hard enough to climb the mountain. We waited 30 years to do it. Then we couldn't celebrate it properly. Then we had that beautiful surprise in Slot's first year. And then we were told we were building for dominance. And now look where we are. And now look at the narrative. And now look at what they're saying. In the course of a year, they've overseen an incredible collapse. And nobody is being held to account. Nobody. They've fucking threw Aaron Briggs under the bus. Coaches have been and gone. But ultimately, Slot, Hughes and Edwards, the three architects of this failure, are all seemingly answerable to nobody. Gareth said, I'm not a Slot fan, but what would he have to do next season, in your opinion, to justify the owner's decision to keep him? I mean, it's a good question, Gareth. It's a good question. We'd have to challenge for the title. Like, realistically challenge. I'm not saying necessarily we have to win it, Gareth, but we have to challenge. And then we have to win a trophy. That would probably be it. At least a trophy and a challenge. But even with that, Gareth, I hope they understand that even with success, the buy-in for the manager is just not going to be there, because it runs too deep now and people are too far removed. People have made their mind up. And I really think that there will be, yes, a section of Liverpool fans that maybe can be swayed one way or another. Maybe if the team goes well, they'll feel happier about it. But there's another section of Liverpool fans that just don't, for want of a better phrase, like the cut of Slot's jib. They just don't like the way he carries himself. And that's not going to change. Because it's easy when you're being praised, like I've said many times. When you win stuff and people are telling you how great you are, it's easy. But when your back's against the wall and you're throwing people under the bus and you're coming out with nonsensical excuses in press conference and you're cherry picking data to try and suit your narrative, even though it isn't true, that's what's undone him more than anything else for me. Because many Liverpool fans just wanted an acknowledgement this season of the fuck-ups. But all we keep getting is manipulation and excuses. And we were unlucky. Unlucky. We weren't unlucky. We were caught out. We've been spoofed. And they don't want to admit that. Let me go back into the comments. One sec. Paul Driscoll said, it's going to blow up in their faces if Slot stays. It'll get very toxic. I already despise them. And it will. It will, mate. Because they didn't think the boos were going to come. They didn't think that was going to happen. Because you've seen how this year's played out. You know, first it was all of us. Online fans are the problem. But that isn't real. Online fans aren't real. It's Anfield. That's the real acid test. And then when Anfield turned and continued to turn, how are they not acknowledging that? How are they not acknowledging that they're working against their own interests? It truly is astounding to me. There should be a case study on this of how to fuck up a club in 12 months and do nothing about it. It really is mind-boggling. Maybe if FSG were actually present, maybe things would be different. I don't know. But the two guys that they've put in charge and backed are overseeing failure, and there's no accountability for it. And they'll piss off. As I said, we believe Edwards will go back to the company he founded with Dr. Ian Graham. Hughes, don't know. Maybe he signs on. Maybe he goes to Saudi Arabia, whatever, don't know. But ultimately, FSG, once again, don't step up to the plate to make the difficult decisions. They can sack a Red Sox coach mid-season, and all of a sudden there's no talk about that. But the talk of sacking a Liverpool coach mid-season has been laughed at all year. And at the very same time, I'm going to ask people to remember something. Remember who all these journalists are. Remember all their actions. Remember all the gaslighting. Remember all the bending to the club's will. Remember it, take names and fucking use it. Because they deserve every fucking bit of it. All of these people that are winding us up, that are looking down their noses at us arrogantly and doing the club's bidding, deserve to be called out. And I'm going to continue to do it. And I don't care what Dominic King and anybody else has to say about me. They know I'm right. They can't say anything about me other than I'm toxic and negative, but they can't say I'm fucking wrong. I am right. You are right. He isn't good enough. Remember this. Because these people are going to be trying to get you to subscribe, pay subscriptions to their newspapers, read their articles. Don't do it. Make sure that they know that you know that they're part of the fucking problem. Slot's press conference make me cry at this point, said Key. I don't listen to them anymore. I have to just read the transcripts. I can't bring myself to listen to them. When I hear him talk, I want to punch the television. And I've said this multiple times. Even his little sarcasm at the last game, the end of it, it's just, I've had enough. Angry Red Guy said, fans don't want him, petition and booze show it, players stop playing for him, seniors are leaving, even with a certain shill channel want him to go, even when a certain shill channel wants him to go, that's how bad it's gotten. And yeah, Edwards and Hughes think otherwise. Mate, I don't know what to say, bro. I don't know what to say because you've said what I've been saying as well. Like, this isn't just me. I'm not on my own here. Like, this is definitely a case of there's far more people on the side of they've seen enough. And what I don't know if the club acknowledge or even think about is what it takes for fans to get to that point. Because I know many of you guys, and certainly me, don't do this lightly. Don't get to the point of saying he has to go lightly. That's absolutely a last resort. But that's where we're at. And like you said, it ain't going to change. And why? The why is the really confusing part in all of this. Why are they going to bat for somebody that's clearly not wanted? And that's the kindest I can be by saying not wanted. What's the latest news? Let me run through some of it for you. So let's go through some transfer stuff. Yeah, I'm not reading Paul Joyce's garbage. Another article today from Joyce. Internally, Liverpool support slot, blah, blah, fucking blah. All just empty waffle from the Everton fan. Liverpool prioritised the signing of wingers to improve performances with Yandy Amonde and Bradley Barcola among the wide men that have been assessed. I mean, even that is fucking hilarious. We're now acknowledging that we need wingers that we all knew we needed last summer, but they didn't want to bring in last summer. because they didn't want to block the pathway for Rio that they didn't really play much this year anyway. This is what I'm saying. Like, they're playing catch up to everybody else and they want a pat in the back and an attaboy for it. You should have got the wingers last year. And then you should have got them in January. But you didn't. You sat there on your hands and did fucking nothing while the season collapsed around. And now, all of a sudden, we need wingers. Well, duh, because you've chased the greatest winger we've ever had out of the fucking club by keeping this failing manager. And Mo tried to warn everyone. He tried to speak out against the standards and how they're falling. But, you know, outside noise and all that. Simon Jones has said Joe Gomez is once again attracting interest from AC Milan and Besiktas as he considers his options this summer. So let's run through this potential departure list. Alisson, Salah, Robertson, Gomez, Jones, McAllister. That's 6 off the top of my head. Chiesa, 7. So how are we going to fix all that? Add more depth into the squad and not have a disjointed season again with Slaw, where his excuses are ready-made for him. Because he's used them all year this year. And what makes you think when he shits the bed next year, he's not going to say, well, it's a transitional season. Everybody knew this was a transitional season. Because that's all they have at this point. It's crazy. It's crazy. Liverpool do not intend to spend as heavily this summer, but they are working to replace Mohamed Salah and will bring in at least one winger with the capacity to score goals. Liverpool have been sounding out the market for midfielders and defenders as they prepare for all eventualities. And again, this comes from Simon Jones. Then the Times, they've said that Arsenal are interested in signing West Ham United's Matheus Fernandes as they look to reshape their midfield this summer. West Ham are demanding at least £84 million for Matheus Fernandes amid growing interest from Manchester United, said Football Insider. United have already made initial checks on the midfielder, with Bruno Fernandes believed to be pushing internally for the move. West Ham are determined to hold firm on their valuation despite fears of relegation. Then Lewis Steele, speaking with our friends at Anfield Index, said this about Anfield being a fortress. He said, "The fortress is completely gone. If I supported any team in the Premier League, I'd now look at Anfield and go, oh, we could win there." He's not wrong, is he? It's not a fortress anymore. We've been turned from believers into doubters over the course of a year. Anfield, no fear factor. Haven't won away against the top half of the league team all season. 18 defeats, same as Leeds. Or at least, I think if we lose one more, it's the same as Leeds. But we're in and around the same amount of defeats as Leeds, who are fighting relegation. The whole thing is just... it's so clear-cut that it's embarrassing that we're even being asked to believe. Like, we shouldn't be asked to back this. We shouldn't be asked to believe in this. Because there's no evidence to believe in. When the best argument you have is he won something the year before with somebody else's squad, that's no argument at all. Then we had Unai Emery, who said, "The Harvey Elliott situation is embarrassing for everyone involved. I feel sorry for the boy. My apologies for Harvey is every day in my mind." Now, who did that deal again? Who made the deal for Elliott? Was it the cold, hard, decisive decision makers that remove emotion from the decision making? So that's 15 or 20 million quid they've cost FSG by shitting about with that deal. And they've, again, annoyed a Red who played for them, who now has to go find another club and has seen his World Cup dreams dashed because he hasn't been able to play football. Fucking geniuses. This report here on West Ham said Paris Saint-Germain are part of a number of clubs interested in signing Matheus Fernandes. The midfielder does not have a release clause in his contract, but is expected to be sold this summer, irrespective of which league West Ham will be in next season. Then we had the Times Sport, who said Chelsea are making progress with Xabi Alonso, but the Spaniard is seeking assurances before formally agreeing to become the new head coach. And watch when that happens. Watch, Liverpool fans, when that happens. Then we have another piece from The Guardian that said Chelsea's players believe Alonso is the ideal candidate to become their next head coach, and talks with Alonso's camp are moving in the right direction. The feeling in the dressing room is that the former Real Madrid and Bayer Leverkusen manager is the man to get the team back on track. Then we had the report about Alisson and Juventus, and maybe De Gregorio as a player swap was mentioned in that. This piece here from Fußballdaten said that Liverpool look to have been handed a bit of a boost in their pursuit of Hoffenheim player Bouzamane Touré. Sky Sports Germany have said that Liverpool have already expressed an interest, and it has recently been stated by Fußballdaten that Hoffenheim would want about 50 million euros to 55 million euros, which is about 43 to 47.5 million pound. This, says the report, has added that his future will depend on whether or not Hoffenheim secure Champions League football. They currently sit fifth in the table behind Stuttgart on goal difference, and they're away to Borussia Mönchengladbach this weekend. Then there was a report in A-Spor in Turkey that said Mohamed Salah has greenlit a move to Fenerbahce. The Egyptian will leave Liverpool at the end of this season, with the Turkish Super League club reportedly offering him an annual salary of £17.5 million. Now, we're looking at a legend leaving our club to go to a lesser level of football. That breaks my heart, because he's basically just quitting because of the manager. But anyway, we move on. This report here from Sport Witness, they claim that Virgil van Dijk could be willing to leave Liverpool for Galatasaray on a free. The Dutch centre-half is thought to be demanding a 2-year contract from the Turkish giant, which includes the potential of a third dependent on matches played. He's out of contract with Liverpool next summer. Now, there's been a few reports over the past couple of weeks linking Virgil with Galatasaray, some of them saying this summer. Now, there's just no way I can see Liverpool letting our captain go this summer. But even that these guys are looking at it, or it's being discussed, or people are looking at our club and thinking they can come and get them, that's a concern. I understand that players get to the end of their natural cycles, but to see them leaving early, in Mohamed Salah's case, it really isn't a good look. And if you're on the outside and you're being pitched about Liverpool, you're going to have some reservations for probably the first time in 10 years about coming to the club, because you've seen the mess that this year's been. And unlike other clubs, our club isn't even acknowledging that we've had a shitty season. They just want us to believe it'll turn around magically, and that the man who hasn't been able to turn it around all year, with more players into the mix to try and bed in, will all of a sudden be able to make it work. It's crazy. Liverpool put out a post to say, stay tuned, Adidas Football, 19th to the 5th, 2026, which is, of course, when they're going to try and get another £100 out of your pocket for the new shirt. This means more, folks. This means more money in FSG's pocket. Because, again, how do you, with a straight face, ask your fan base to keep emptying their pockets when you're basically sticking two fingers up to them? They're going to find out. Going to find out real fucking soon when sales aren't what they should be, tickets aren't selling like they should be, all red memberships aren't what they should be. Maybe then they'll listen. But again, the damage will be done. All it's going to take is to hear those words, Alonso to Chelsea, here we go, and watch. Watch what happens. Thanks for your response. Pleasure, and thank you. Really appreciate your support, Garrett, and thank you for your question, mate. Edwards and Hughes are not Liverpool fans. They don't feel the pain, said Malty. I don't know. I don't know what the play is here. I just don't. I have to think that they're expecting them to tank, and that's it. And then somebody else will come in and they'll have more leeway or something. I don't know. That's all I can think of at this point, is that they're just setting him up to fail. When he does fail, they'll bring somebody else in. But I don't know. I don't know why they're not chomping at the bit to get Alonso in. Is Michael Edwards really that insecure that he's worried about somebody coming in that would be automatically popular, as Melissa Reddy hinted to in her piece? Is that a problem rather than a plus? And if so, why? Because it's only a problem if you're insecure or you think that the manager might want a bit more power. Well, maybe the manager deserves a bit more fucking power because the lads that are making the decisions are shit in the bed and not acknowledging it. Oh, and by the way, that's before we might have to lose our assistant manager again. Let's not forget that. We could be on to assistant manager number 3 of the very short 3-year reign of Arne Slot if he goes into the next season. That's not a good look either, that we don't have stability in that position. I feel like Jerome said Anfield went from a fortress to a budget buffet. If we lose these next 2 games, do you think that puts Arne on the chopping block? Also, I'm tired of this backing Slot narrative that Edwards and Hughes are backing their laptop skills, hoping the transfers fix the mess. Look, if he doesn't get Champions League football, yes, he's gone. He is. He's gone. But it looks like we're going to fall over the line to get Champions League football. And even at that, we've made hard work of something that didn't need to be this hard. Like, how many opportunities have we had to box this off? Yeah, and even look at this season. Teams that have come with no confidence have got results. Wolves, Chelsea, Spurs. Like, it's fucking embarrassing. And the lowest point of this season for me was the 4-1 to PSV Eindhoven. That's a different level of failure. On our pitch, on a Champions League night at Anfield, against a Dutch team, he was outwitted and outcoached and outplayed. 4-1. I wouldn't have been beaten 4-1 if I was the coach. You wouldn't have been beaten 4-1. It's absolutely nonsensical that happened. Red Dinosaur Mother said, I want us to lose both remaining games. That's how much I resent Slot. I know that we're all holding out hope that maybe when Champions League footy's secured, they see sense. But it really feels at this point like they are digging their heels in. That's what it really feels like at this minute. I don't know what else to say, except it's tough. It's tough to be optimistic. Brentford and Villa are not easy games. I'm hoping we lose them. I want this spoofer gone that badly. I'm sorry. Let's ask that question. I'm going to ask that as a poll. So, would you accept no Champions League football to get Slot out? Yes or no? I'm going to give you my answer. Yes, I would. I would accept. No, I don't want us to lose. But I would accept Champions League football. If no Champions League football to get rid of Slot at this point. Yeah, I would. I can't shy away from it. I would. And that's shitty. And it's horrible to say. But if that's what it would take to steady the ship, unfortunately, I'd have to say yeah. Because here's the thing, right? Let's say we go into the Champions League next year. I don't think we win it with him. I think if we come across PSG at any point, that's it. Game over. Tail between the legs. 10 at the back. Nobody up top. Excuses, lies, PSG fan, fawning, the usual nonsense. Yeah. So yeah, I would take no Champions League football if it meant getting rid of Slot. That's how strongly I feel about it. One word to describe Slot: spoofer. That's it. That's the word. It's. I don't know if it's a word that's used as much outside of Ireland as the way we use it over here, but spoofer. As somebody who's just convinced people that he's better than he is. So yeah, a spoofer. What does it matter for out of the Champions League if these clowns are deciding transfers anyway, and next season's Champions League is wasted for us either way? Well, I suppose, Glenn, here's where I have to say the transfers for me can be somewhat mitigated by a good coach. So, it would be unfair of me to say I didn't expect the transfers to be dealt with by Hughes and Edwards. That was always going to be the case. But I think, and this is why I'm so adamant about it, the problem is the coaching and him. Look, the transfers haven't been good enough and there are problems there. But this could have been a better season. Like, does anybody think we have this season, if Jurgen's still in charge, this poorly, the way it's gone? Because look at the 11s we've had. It's not like we've been putting kids out. This narrative of injuries is just a lazy one. That they want you to feel sympathy and feel sorry for them. But it's bullshit. There's been far worse seasons than injuries than this season. This season it feels a lot worse for them because £200 million worth of their investment in centre forwards have been off the pitch for prolonged periods of time. And their £116 million midfielder hasn't worked for them yet. And again, they think maybe throw more players at it, it's going to fix it. It won't fix it when you've still got the same spoofer in charge. Lewis Steele, speaking with Anfield Index, said, I do think Joe Gomez will go this summer. So if Joe Gomez goes, which again, I would agree with that assessment, that's a player who can play centre-back and right-back. So remember, we're already in a situation where we're short at right-back and we haven't had enough backup centre-backs this year. So now we're going to have a player who can play in a multitude of positions going. So now we need to bring in 2 more players to fill out those roles. So again, I struggle. I struggle to believe that it'll turn around. Malty said, where's this? Anyone who says you want to lose are not a fan. All right, by you go. Sorry, mate, but I've warned you before about the way you speak about other people. So for me, telling people they're not a fan because they feel something is bye-bye time. So sorry, mate. I know you've been around a long time, but you don't get to speak down to other people because you don't agree with it. You don't get to do that. You don't get to tell people that they're a fan or not a fan because they're hurting. Do you not think maybe it hurts these people to say that they're willing to suffer that to get rid of them? But you think you get to sit there and tell them they're not fans because you've decided that. It just doesn't feel right, mate. Sorry. Aaron said, I'd give up Champions League this year. The real choice is miss next year and replace Slot, or miss this year and Slot will be in a worse spot next spring. Get him out. J-Bob said, Craig, all Slot will do in the next Champions League season is get top 8, maximise FSG profits to keep him in the job, and then put PSG merchandise all over his house and pray we get battered by them. Yeah, he kept saying this year we finished 3rd in the league phase and that was some moral victory. We still went out when we played the first decent team in the knockout stage and we were beaten home and away. But don't let that get in the way of your lies. Lewis Steele, speaking with Anfield Index as well about the Canade situation, had this to say, I don't have a clue what's going to happen with that, to be honest, because everybody says something different. The situation is mind-boggling and nowhere near a conclusion. So, again, let me just read that out to you, because this is a professional journalist telling you the situation's mind-boggling around one of our starting centre-backs who's out of contract in 6 weeks. I don't know what's going on with that, to be honest, because everybody says something different. The situation is mind-boggling and nowhere near a conclusion. And again, these are the clever guys that are dealing with this. So, Canade might go. Salah might go. Salah is going. Robertson is going. Gomez might go. Jones might go. Chiesa will go. And on and on and on and on. But it's all right though, because they've got it all in hand. Everything's grand. Paul said, I don't want us to ever lose a game. We'll celebrate every win. But if I was asked to choose, I'd absolutely go with slot out. Shouldn't be a choice, as you say. Exactly. The fact we're even in this predicament where we have to have these hypothetical conversations tells you a lot. Because it's also avoidable. I just don't have time for anybody who wants to feel superior to other people as a fan. It's part of the reason why I started this channel with Connor and why it exists. Because we're fed up with people looking down their noses at other Liverpool fans and telling them how to be a fan and telling them how to feel and telling them what they should be thinking. Just because we all see this differently. I don't ever want us to lose a game. But I have to admit, I would take no Champions League football now to get rid of this manager. And that doesn't make me any less of a fan. It makes me a fan that wants the best for the club. And he isn't the best for the club. And I'll never accept second best when it comes to the football club that we all love. Actually, do you know what? Second best would be me being too kind. David Mooney said, surely the book doesn't just stop with Slot. It's top three of the club that are the entire issue. Slot, Hughes and Edwards. I agree, David. Completely agree with you, mate. Obviously, we focus a lot more on the manager, David, because, you know, he's the one we hear and see from the most. But you're absolutely spot on, mate. There is very strong questions to be asked of Hughes and Edwards, who came back in to wrestle away authority from managers and bring in a head coach and let them have all the power, and then they've shit the bed massively and they won't admit their mistakes. And FSG seemingly are unwilling to hold them to account. But you are right, David. I wish we could have these conversations where we say maybe they can all just fuck off. Because at this point, I don't have too many kind words to say about the way this club has been run this season and the way it's been allowed to just evolve into this angry mess that we're all finding ourselves in. How many players are out of contract next season? Oh, fucking hell. Gomez, Virgil, Alisson. I think there's two more. Maybe more. Off the top of my head, that's all I can think of, Medusa. Niall Carney said, it's not even about challenging for the league at this stage. It's the utterly crap football I'm watching. 100%. I'm not arrogant enough, mate, that I think Liverpool have a divine right to win a trophy. I'm with you. I want to enjoy what I'm looking at. And I want to feel connected to what I'm seeing on the pitch. But we're seeing players that we know have shown tremendous bravery and courage not really having the fighting spirit this year or the belief. We've seen them go out to the pitch time and time again, under-motivated, start games slowly. I think the stat we had was, I think we've scored 5 goals in the first half of the last 20 games. It's crazy. Like, any way you look at this season, I don't see... Like, it's like... You know the way we all said we don't want the police investigating police issues, let's say. That's exactly what's happening here. These guys are self-assessing. And nobody's there to hold them to account. And if they all live in this little fucking bubble where anything that's in any way negative is painted as being toxic or online drama, that's not a healthy place. If you can have an adult conversation about the problems and just stick your fingers in your ears and say it's all outside noise, that's a problem. Because it isn't. Millions and millions and millions and millions of people cannot be wrong. Paul said, Craig, between 100 and 300 million for some Champions League football. It's not. It's between 80 and 120, Paul, for Champions League football. The 300 mil would come in with the television revenue, and league position finishes and stuff like that. But it's usually somewhere between 80 and 120 million for a good Champions League campaign. But still a lot of money, dude. Like, still a huge amount of money. Compassion said Arne Slot out is now at 3.7 million and 55,000. Now, I said this the other day, lads. Imagine this was a Spirit of Shankly and Spy on Cop season ticket protest petition that had 10,000 signatures. It would be everywhere. The Echo would be running with it. It would be on every journalist's keypad. They'd be typing about it. But 3.7, nearly 3.8 million Liverpool fans have all clicked on a petition to say they want the manager gone, and you have to go searching for it to find out about it. That tells its own story. That shows you where we're at and what we have to contend with as fans. We're being manipulated, we're being lied to, and we're being gaslit by the very club that we want to love. The thing that we want to love is basically pushing us away and then asking us why we're going away. It's fucking insane. Right, so this from Lewis Steele again, speaking with our friends at Anfield Index, speaking about Arne Slot's embargoed press conference last week. Said there's something that he wants to say that he feels that he will get completely hounded for if he says it. I think reading between the lines, and it's only a guess, it's to do with Salah. I do think that it goes back to the Salah relationship that's clearly broken down. Maybe. I don't know, but what I do know is if you're asking me to judge, I'm sticking with Mo, the man that has upheld the standards for longer, the man that helped bring the club along with Jurgen and those other great players back to the top table. And a man that feels like things have gotten so bad, not only for him on a personal level, but inside that dressing room, that he wants to depart the club a year early to go and potentially play in Turkey. And again, how do we come to terms with that as fans? It's not an accident that so many players are considering their futures at the club. Right, if you haven't voted, we're asking, hypothetical, would you accept no Champions League football to get Arne Slot out of the football club? Paul said, I'm not going back to Anfield next season to watch Liverpool if Slot as head coach. I'm not spending a penny, Paul. I would say conservatively, and I'm not exaggerating this, conservatively, I would say I spent $3,500 supporting Liverpool this year between my hospitality ticket, all the merchandise we've bought, all the stuff we've given away, all that have come through Liverpool. I would say I've spent $3,500 this year, and I'm not spending a penny, not a cent this season, not a fucking cent, nothing. Cancel the All Red memberships that we had, not spending any of it, and it kills me. You all seen how excited I was when Adidas and Liverpool came back together. It was like my two favourite things coming back together. Football club I love, the clothing brand I love, back together. And you've seen me last summer. I couldn't believe my luck. And now I feel so disenfranchised and so distant from the club. I can't. I'm not feeding into it. I'm not paying for this pain. I hope Mo exposes Arne in the coming months. I wonder, is there an NDA in there? I wonder. I don't know, but I wonder. Because you've seen stuff come out from people in and around Mo, from the Egyptian side, to say, yeah, it's on the manager. That's why he's going. Motorhome Dreamer said, it kills us real E-Red fans, Craig. You're right. Never want us to lose, but would accept it if we lost 2 games and then he goes with 20 defeats. Yeah, man. Even saying 18 defeats sounds crazy. But like I've said, remove all the hyperbole and stuff and just look at the season. We're 4th and 5th in and around there in the league, and we didn't get past the quarterfinals of a single cup competition. That's the long and short of it. That's failure. That's failure any season. It's even more laughable when you're trying to defend the Premier League title and you've been back to the tune of 450 million quid with players. One minute you want the small squad, then you moan about the squad. You want to bring Rio through, then you moan about it. You're a possession-based team, then other teams have more possession than us. We're unlucky with XG, only for we're not. It's just everything comes out of his mouth is just excuses. And it's never been, I'm really sorry. It's been, I've made mistakes. That's all I want to hear. I want to hear all of them say, yeah, we've made mistakes. We know this season has been a mess. We're working tirelessly to put it right. And this is what we're looking to do. This is the type of football we're looking to play. We believe that next season we'll be back to ourselves. We'll have the hunger back. But all we're getting is, trust me, bro. Trust me. How can we trust you when you've just spunked 450 million quid to make us worse? And these aren't bad players. You're taking a player who's full of confidence in Florian Wirtz and smashing it. Imagine Klopp was backed with the same amount of funds as Slot this season. We definitely would be winning the Premier League. I agree, but even with that, he kept saying, "Yeah, people don't talk about what we brought in, though." Yeah, we do. We all talk about it. We love a net spend, but every press conference, it's yeah. People talk about the 450 million, but they don't remember the players that we sold. No, we do. We do. We're very aware of how cheap FSG are. We're very aware of it. Lewis Steele again, speaking to Anfield Index, said the fortress is completely gone. In Liverpool's worst moments over the last 10 years, Anfield has still been a fixture that I think all teams and fans would say, I don't fancy your chances there. But not anymore. Not anymore, as he said, because now they'll be coming and thinking, yeah, we can get a result there. Lewis Steele again, speaking to Anfield Index, on Arne Slot, said this: every Liverpool fan I speak to, apart from a very small number, don't think that he's the man to turn it round. So it's not just me saying it. Journalists saying, people they're speaking to. Like I said, you don't get 3.7 million people signing a petition. If it was the other way round, if it was a petition to keep the manager, you could say it's opposition fans clicking on it. Shithausen, because they want to keep him in. But who's going to click on a petition to fire him? Opposition fans are going to do that. They want this fiasco to go on. So the people that are clicking on that form want him gone because their heart's broken watching it. They're sick of it. They don't like him. And the worst part of this for me is, well, not the worst part, but a worst part of it, is also avoidable because it'll get to a level of toxicity that none of us want. And it's their own stubbornness, hubris, and arrogance that's leading to it. You're either a club that deals in numbers or you're not. You can't pick and choose when you're data-led people. I don't see them saying their algorithm still showing he's the right guy. I don't see them saying that the algorithm shows we're getting better. They're clutching at straws for any positives they can get. But the problem for them is there isn't any. Angela's around always. Said, what makes this season worse for me is the overall quality of the league is so poor, it makes it even more embarrassing. Yeah, it's a good point, Angela. It hasn't even been a particularly strong Premier League season, and we're still languishing 4th, 5th. And what that man Sean said on X, the numbers behind how poor this fourth place finish is going to be, I think also tells a tale. Where has it gone? This one. He said, fun fact, the maximum Liverpool can get is 65 points. And the last time anybody came fourth with fewer than 66 points was in 0405. So Arne Slot's achievement of Champions League football is to be the worst fourth place team in 20 years. And they said, talk about a lack of context when we get told he's done his job. So you're right, Angela. It's been a poor season throughout the Prem. And even at that, he's scraping in with the bare minimum. Always been a code of silence in football. What happens in the dressing room stays in the dressing room. Slot, Salah have a public slagging match. Doesn't really benefit anybody. That's true. That's true. I agree. And I don't like things coming out of a dressing room either, mate. I would agree with you on that. But, you know, one question that I've been asked a lot this year is, do you think the players are still playing for him? And it looks as if some of them are, but it really does look as if some of them aren't. You know, there's been times this season where people have pointed out to me instructions being given and they're being ignored. Like him sarcastically saying, do you think I'm not asking them to press after the last game? Well, if you are asking them, they're not doing it. That's even fucking worse, aren't it? Like if you're giving instruction and they're not following it, that's a bigger problem. Do we have the level of player currently to replace Alisson, Robertson and Salah? Be honest. Yeah, of course we do. We've got Costas coming back to replace Robertson. Sure, that's a like for like. Says nobody ever. But we're supposed to believe that as Liverpool fans. The guy who wasn't good enough last season, went to Roma, didn't get games over there, is going to come back and be good enough if Milos Kerkez is injured. Yeah, that makes sense. No, we don't have the players to replace them. Of course we don't. But I don't know what else to say. You know, we've got Dominic Soboslai. I think he has leadership qualities. Outside of that, don't know. I just don't know anymore. I don't know who that next group of leaders are going to be. Even the Canade situation in isolation, that Canade situation is crazy. Like, how do you have a starting centre-back who you don't know if he's going to be here in 6 weeks or not, in a World Cup year? It's insanity. How is that stability, you fucking spoofers? Oh, it doesn't matter, the professionals. Yeah, hi. They told us last year that it did affect them. Salah and Virgil came out and told us that the contract situations impacted them. So they're telling you that it impacted their form for the season, and you're doing it again. Good guys. Well done. Geniuses. Pat in the back all round. May I suggest another round table, gentlemen? Because I think there's some patting on the back still to be done. Have you seen the whole Spygate thing? I have, and I feel so bad for Southampton fans. If they get kicked out of the playoff final, which I think is at least a possibility, Joseph, I feel so bad for the Southampton fans because they've done nothing wrong. Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a really tough one because marginal gains can maybe be gotten from seeing a few set piece routines or maybe players who aren't fully fit or whatever doing training sessions, but it all just feels so unnecessary. And I can't believe, if it's proven, how stupid it was. Like how blatantly, stupidly obvious it all was. It feels like something you and your mates at 14 years of age would come up with to try and figure out. Like it's just mental. And I really feel for Southampton fans if they get kicked out. Elliot said, Craig, do you remember Alisson away at Forest had to tell Slot to switch Jones to right back and Soboslai to midfield? Yep. I also remember him being told to put the ball out and not doing it. I remember a lot of instructions being given this year, and I've seen something else this year that I haven't seen too much, which is players arguing with each other on the pitch, which I don't like the look of as well. The body language hasn't looked great at times. And the training just seems so boring and looks so boring because they're doing fuck all of it. When will Chidi's charges be brought up? So I'm guessing Guardiola leaves, and then all of a sudden, a while after that, something happens. But Pep United has EPO Pep has disappeared. Yeah, and his reputation intact. But I don't know. That's another fucking disgrace, by the way. This piss take of 6 years to figure this out. It's a disgrace. What about Harvey coming back into this fold when Sloth fucks off? I'd love that, Chris. I'd love that. And I dare say, just to throw a name out there, if Alonso got the job right now, I dare say you'd see Elliot back and given a chance. There's nobody going to convince me we couldn't have used Harvey Elliott this season with the way the season's been and the lack of options we've had, that we couldn't have benefited from having Harvey Elliott around. Sue said, "Hey Craig, love your channel. Mo should be manager." Well, thank you, Sue. I really appreciate your kind words. It would be interesting to see, actually, Sue, if Mo, when he does hang up his boots, moves into that side of things, if he has ambitions to be a manager or whatever. I always get this really wrong, though, Sue. I would have bet anything that Jamie Carragher would have been a manager, and maybe Stevie G went into the punditry side of it. And I don't know if I would have ever been more convinced that a former player was going to become a manager than I would have been about Carragher, because he just seemed perfect to go and become a coach. But look, he does a good job in the punditry he does and stuff. But yeah, I would have put any amount of money down. Carragher would have went into coaching. Red Dinosaur Mother said Jones arguing with Slot on the sidelines. Sorry, I just have to check something here, folks. Bear with me 1 sec. Cool. Right, a couple of things, folks. We've got a bit of time left in tonight's stream, so don't worry. But if I can ask a couple of little things from you, if at all possible. If you guys haven't, please do check out the Anfield Agenda Clips channel. We've got 2 new voices that are going to be coming in to help us out for next season. And Anfield Agenda's Clips channel is going to become Anfield Agenda Extra. And on that channel, we're going to have new perspectives, new voices, new types of video that we don't currently have at our disposal. And on top of that, I'm going to give opinions on there from a Liverpool perspective about non-Liverpool things. So if you'd like a bit of extra Anfield Agenda and some new perspectives and voices, do check out Anfield Agenda Clips and give it a sub. If you can't, search Anfield Agenda Clips or scan that QR code. Also, delighted the champ popped in yesterday, Mr. Adam Duffy, and this is where I ask for help. So right now, what I'm doing is looking into my contact book and trying to get this young man some nutrition sponsorship with, somebody like an Optimum Nutrition or somebody like that. And we're trying to get him some kit. So if anybody out there that has hookups, this young man is the European champion. This young man is going all the way. He is highly decorated, multiple-time national champion, European champion, gonna fight for a world title next. And we want to get Adam the help that he needs, because there's no funding from Sport Ireland for him, and he and his family have to try to balance their day-to-day lives with, of course, trying to help Adam's career there as well. You guys and us have helped massively. We've made sure that he's able to go to the last couple of fights. We've helped out with money that you guys have sent across as well for nutritional stuff. Yesterday, we got a camera from so that he could record his sessions and help and vlog his journey a little bit as well. And we want to continue to support him. But honestly, I'm not easily impressed by people. But when I met this young man, within 10 minutes, I was all in. He just oozes charisma. determination and focus. And on top of that, he's a winner. He's a winner that believes in himself. And I believe they're the type of people in this country of ours that we need to support and get behind. So if anybody can get in touch to help us out for Adam, we're looking for a hookup with somebody who can help him with protein, creatine, that kind of stuff. We're looking for somebody to help him get fight kit, to make sure that he has the right type of kit for when he is fighting. We're going to do everything we can at Anfield Agenda on behalf of you guys as well to back and help Adam. But of course, any help we can get would be really appreciated to point us in the right direction, to open a door for us to have those conversations, because this young man is going places. This young man will make his way to the top. When you hear him, you will immediately see what I see. Somebody who has dedicated themselves, still in school, doing his leaving certificate, fighting, winning, and living the life. He is everything you would want your son or your next door neighbour to be. He is a model young man that deserves our support. And yeah, I've never felt this angry at Ireland from a sporting perspective, because he got no funding, nothing. And he deserves it, because we should be leaning in and raising up these type of young athletes in this country rather than trying to make them scrape around to exist, basically. Honestly, I'll get him on someday for a chat. You will see what I see in him. He's incredible.
We all see him.
Oh, here it is.
He's amazing.
Yes, he is an amazing young lad. I know. He absolutely is. We've got him, Sabrina's got him sorted out with a striking coach, a boxing coach that helps him out. Yeah. He just deserves it. Honestly, he does. He deserves it. Arna Slot says he never thought of quitting the Liverpool job. I've always wanted to carry on, and I've never once thought what you're suggesting, because, as I've said many times, I think this club is in a much better place next season than this season because of what I've already said 150 times. Yeah, trust me, bro. That's what you've said 150 times. You haven't at all articulated how you haven't been able to figure it out this year, genius man, or how it is going to be different next year. But, you know, trust me, bro. Even this season, there was a lot to play for. Yeah, but don't worry, Arna. You fucked that up. 2 months ago, we lost to Paris Saint-Germain and Manchester City, and that was the first time we were not able to win anything anymore. Is this lad for real? But we can still win qualification for the Champions League. Fuck you. That's not winning. That's you scraping in. It's not winning. There's no winning about coming fourth. It's the first time in my career that I'm not, in the end, playing for a trophy. Only once I didn't win something, so now it's going to be the second year. It's going to be a bit new. But until 2 months ago, we were still fighting for things. So, no, not once did I think of walking away. But we weren't fighting for anything, you fucking spoofer. You threw away the League Cup because you thought 3 points against Villa was more important. And you turned your nose up to a potential trip to Wembley for Liverpool fans. You sent the ones that paid their money to go to that game 2 fingers and a fuck you with the squad you put out. Then you went over like a cook to Paris Saint-Germain with your tail between your legs, putting out a defensive team. A team that we went head-to-head and battled with last year, but this year went there hoping not to get a beating. Came back with a beating, and then were beaten again at home. And then you had a chance to put it right against Manchester City, and you were whooped there as well. So no, Arna, you didn't nearly win anything. You got your ass handed to you over and over again whenever you came up against anybody decent. And to say anything else is a fucking lie. We weren't unluckily beaten. This is a team that had 450 million quid spent on it and played pretty much the same Paris Saint-Germain team as last season, only for without Gianluigi Donnarumma. And we were beaten convincingly home and away. He is a fucking spoofer. And it's that level of delusion and arrogance that is why Liverpool fans don't want him here. Brynjar, the game's on Friday, mate. The game's tomorrow. It was initially ready. It was scheduled to be a Sunday game, bro, until Aston Villa got to the Europa League final. And then when they got to the Europa League final, there has to be a minimum amount of days in between. so they pushed it back. So the game is tomorrow night. But you aren't wrong, mate. It was initially scheduled to be a Sunday game, but it was Sunday 12:30 actually. But now it's tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Trevor said, do you think Slot is a hypnotist? It's the only way I can think he's keeping his job by putting his bosses in a trance. I just think that the three of them are in it together at this point, Trevor. And to admit one of them got it wrong admits they all got it wrong. And their arrogance is not letting them make the mistake. What's this? What's this from Indy Kayla? Liverpool submit opening bid for Adam Wharton. The information's come from a high-level source. Arne Slot's job is still in the balance despite reports that his job is safe. Well, for once, I pray Indy Kayla's right. That Arne Slot's job is still in the balance, because people I spoke with today, they still have faith in FSG that they will look at the numbers and ultimately make the right decision. But they are also of the mindset that once the Champions League money's there, that mitigates a lot of problems for FSG. So, but like I said, our understanding is that Edwards will disappear at the very worst or longest at the end of his deal and back to the company he founded with Dr. Ian Graham. But let's wait and see. I really fucking hope for once Indy Kayla's right on his job not being fully safe, because that's what we're all hoping for. Right, so we asked, would you accept no Champions League football to get Arne Slot out? And after 1,000, well, pretty much 1,200, yeah, there we are now, 1,200 votes, 69% said yes, they would take no Champions League football to get rid of the manager, and 31% said no. And of course, I appreciate and understand both sides of that. If you're somebody that can never bring yourself to want Liverpool to not qualify or have success, no judgment from me. We just thought it would be an interesting one to ask, because somebody hypothetically brought it up and we thought might make an interesting question. Hobbit Hoskin said, oh wait, I've got the next excuse. We lose against Villa. Slot, yeah, we didn't win today because Villa had success in Europe, so now our game's been brought forward. We weren't prepared for that. Look, he won't have a better chance. He got Chelsea, who were in free fall. Like, we looked at the end of the season and we thought, oh shit, that's a tough run. He got United, beat us. Got Chelsea in free fall, couldn't beat them. Now he's got Villa, who will have one eye in the Europa League final a few days later. And let's see how that goes tomorrow night. Because realistically, Villa's minds will be elsewhere, and that should be a straightforward evening for us. But let's wait and see. Here's Arne Slot on the criticism of his methods. On if the criticism of his methods has made him lose belief in himself. I'm 47, so I'm not 12 anymore. I've been playing professional football since I was 16. Maybe not at the level I am here now, but I'm used to the fact that people sometimes think you're a very good football player and sometimes don't like you so much. It's the same as a manager. You're in the job and you don't usually start your career at a club like this. You have to lead up to that. So we're all used to positive and negative criticism that if you're not able to handle it, you will not end up at a club like this. I think there's one of the things that I've learned this season, that I can handle criticism quite well. I don't act differently. I can have a clear mind and do the things I want to do. So he wanted to do these things. With a clear mind, that's the season we've had, with a clear mind. It's very easy, though, when you've got people covering for you and briefing their friendly journalists that you're going nowhere despite the failures. It must be great. Must be great to be at a club where it doesn't matter what you do. The three amigos stick together and fuck the results and the rest of it. Mark said, Craig, I also heard today via another Liverpool web chat that Hughes was planning on leaving at the end of the transfer window. That's not the information I have. I know what you've said. I know exactly where it's come from. I'm not here to talk about another channel's information or not. All I can say to you is that's not the information that we have. We believe that Richard Hughes will see out his contract with Liverpool at the very least, and there is a potential that he could extend it, but with Michael Edwards, we don't believe that he's going to go past the end of this 3-year cycle, if he even does see that. That's all I can say that we know. Maybe That other person has more information, better information. I don't know. Not here to judge. Christopher said, Craig, I'm a Liverpool fan. I'm not going to watch them until Slot is gone. All I've said is all I can do is not spend money, not add to the coffers. That's the way I'm going to voice my displeasure, and of course speaking out about it on here. But look, ladies and gents, we are in action tomorrow, second to last game of the season. We'll be here at 6:45 for our match coverage. Connor will be here in the morning with a news video as well. Hope you can join us for it. Only 2 more games to go this season. We've got Friday night, and then we've got a week on Sunday for the final game against Brentford. It'll be an emotional one where we say goodbye to Mohamed Salah, to Andy Robertson, potentially to Alisson, to Joe Gomez, maybe Curtis Jones and a few others. But yeah, that at least for the last game of the season, we'll rightly be talking about the lads that are leaving and their tremendous efforts while they're in a Liverpool shirt. Always remember, we love you in Liverpool. Be well, my friend. And all my thoughts and all my prayers to you and your family. Thank you, mate. Thank you. I don't know if this is the same dude that I've seen on the Echo comment section with a similar name, but we always agree on our perspectives when I see your comments on there as well. And look, anytime I've gone to the city of Liverpool, I've been met with more kindness than I probably deserve. And that's why I'll always stick up for Scousers. And thank you. I appreciate you. And I appreciate the city of Liverpool as well, my friend. Appreciate that. Really, really nice way to finish the stream, mate. Thank you. I mean that sincerely. Thank you. You don't know what it means, especially on nights like tonight when it's, you know, it's a tough one. It's a tough one because we're all frustrated. But thank you. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Don't forget, 6:45. Hopefully we can get a result and see some positive patterns of play or something to give us some happiness for a little bit. Right, folks, have a good one. Much love. Appreciate you.